So Marcus's phone had been going off all week with texts from his mom asking what time to show up on Saturday. And I'm sitting there on the couch Thursday night watching him type back these one-word responses while I'm literally coordinating this entire surprise party behind his back. His favorite restaurant had this private room in the back, and I'd been planning this thing for 3 months because he kept saying nobody ever did anything special for his birthday. Always made it seem like his family forgot about him every year. Whole sob story. I'm out here contacting his college friends I'd never even met, tracking down his cousins on Facebook, making sure his mom Rosalie knew to bring his grandmother who doesn't drive anymore. Like, I went hard on this party because I actually loved this man. We'd been together 2 years, met through mutual friends at this festival thing in Raleigh back in 2023, and he seemed perfect at first, you know? He had this apartment across town that he was always weird about me coming to, kept saying it was a mess, or he had roommate drama, or whatever excuse worked that week. I'd been there maybe 4 times total in 2 years, and each time it felt like he'd scrubbed the place clean before I arrived. Nothing personal anywhere, just this weird, sterile vibe. But I figured he was just private or embarrassed about how he lived. The party was set for Saturday evening, October 5th. I told Marcus we were just doing a quiet dinner, just us two, got him to agree to meet me at the restaurant at 7. Meanwhile, I had 40 people hiding in that back room ready to scream surprise. His mom was there with his grandmother, his sister flew in from Atlanta, his boys from college were already 3 beers deep, and I'm standing there in this dress I bought specifically for tonight feeling like the best girlfriend ever. Marcus walks in right on time, and I'm walking him toward the back going, "They have this special menu tonight I wanted to check out." When we get to the doorway and everyone jumps out screaming, "Surprise!" and his face does this thing where he looks absolutely terrified for a split second before forcing a smile. I caught it but figured he was just shocked, you know? Everyone's hugging him and taking photos, and his mom is crying because her baby's turning 28, and I'm just glowing thinking I nailed this whole thing. We're about 45 minutes into the party. Music playing, people eating these appetizers I specifically ordered because Marcus mentioned he liked them once 6 months ago, and his friends are giving speeches about college memories. I had this whole cake situation planned. 3-tier thing with his favorite flavors, and the waitstaff brings it out with candles, and everyone's singing. Marcus looks uncomfortable as hell, but I'm thinking he's just not used to being the center of attention. Then the door to the private room slams open. This girl I have never seen in my entire life comes running in, and she's sobbing, like full-on hyperventilating, and there's an older woman behind her who I'm guessing is her mother based on the resemblance. The music cuts off. Everyone stops singing mid-word. And this girl is screaming at Marcus going, "You can't ignore me anymore, and I'm 3 months pregnant," and everyone in the room goes completely silent. Marcus's face goes from uncomfortable to absolutely white. Like every drop of blood just evacuated his body. His mom Rosalie gasps super loud and his grandmother drops her fork. Everyone's just frozen staring at this scene, and I'm standing there next to Marcus with the cake knife in my hand thinking, what the actual fuck is happening right now? The girl turns to me, tears streaming down her face, and goes, "Who are you?" Just like that. And I'm so shocked I just automatically respond, "I'm his girlfriend of 2 years." The way her face crumpled I will remember forever. She starts crying harder and screaming, "He told me he was single and we've been together for 10 months. Her mother starts laying into Marcus, yelling about how he needs to take responsibility. How dare he do this to her daughter, calling him every name in the book. His mother Rosalie is staring at him with her mouth open, and his sister is recording this on her phone, which in the moment felt absolutely insane but honestly good for the evidence. Marcus is trying to talk, but nothing's coming out, and I'm just standing there holding this cake knife thinking I spent 3 months planning this party for a man who was living an entire second life. The girl, later found out her name is Heidi, pulls out her phone and starts showing me photos. And I'm looking at these pictures and it's definitely Marcus. There's photos of them at restaurants I'd never been to, at some beach trip that must have happened when he told me he was at a work conference. And then she's swiping through and there's photos of them in an apartment that I recognize. It's his apartment, the one he never wanted me at. And in these photos, it looks completely different. There's photos on the walls, there's decorations, there's her stuff visible in the background. She's showing me pics like, look, we went to the mountains last month, and meanwhile, I'm remembering Marcus told me he couldn't do anything that weekend because he had a major work deadline. Her mother Marjorie is still screaming at Marcus about the baby, about doctor appointments he missed, about how he promised he'd tell his family soon. His mother Rosalie looks like she might pass out. His friends have their phones out filming, and I can already imagine this going viral on whatever group chats they're in. The grandmother is asking someone to explain what's happening. Marcus finally finds his voice and starts going, "This isn't what it looks like," and trying to reach for my arm. I stepped back so fast I almost knocked over the cake table. "Don't fucking touch me," was the first thing I managed to say clearly. Heidi is crying and asking him how could you do this to me, and her mom is demanding he take a paternity test, and everyone at this party I spent months planning is watching this man I loved get exposed as the absolute trash he is. I asked him, very directly, "Is this girl pregnant with your baby?" And he starts stuttering going, "I don't know, and it's complicated and we need to talk about this privately." Heidi screams, "It's not complicated, you got me pregnant," and shows me what looks like ultrasound photos on her phone dated from last month. Marcus tries to pull the whole "everyone calm down. Let's discuss this like adults" routine, and I lost it. I told him there's nothing to discuss. I just found out my boyfriend of 2 years has been living with another woman who is carrying his child. His mother is crying now. His sister is calling him disgusting. and his friends are all backing away like they don't want to be associated with this mess. One of them muttered, "Bro, what the fuck?" Heidi's mother is demanding Marcus acknowledge this baby right now in front of everyone. Rosalie is asking Marcus if this is true in this heartbroken voice. Marcus is trying to do damage control, but it's way too late. Heidi is showing me more photos, and there's ones from his apartment that are clearly recent, like within the last few weeks. And I had seen him just 3 days ago when he told me he loved me. The restaurant manager comes in asking if everything is okay, because apparently people in the main dining room can hear the yelling. Marcus has the audacity to try to escort me out to talk privately, and I very loudly told him I'm not going anywhere with him. Heidi is demanding to know how long we've been together, and when I say 2 years, she loses it even more because apparently Marcus told her he'd been single for 3 years after a bad breakup. His entire life was a lie. The traveling for work? Probably time with her. The apartment I couldn't visit? Their shared place? The weekends he was busy? With her? And I'm standing here at this party I planned where I invited his mother to celebrate him while this poor girl is pregnant and just found out she's the other woman, except actually I'm the other woman. Or we're both the other woman. I don't even know. What I do know is I walked out of that party, left the cake, left Marcus standing there with both his families and both his girlfriends, and went home. Tamara, my best friend, followed me out and drove me home because I was shaking too hard to drive myself. And I'm sitting here now trying to process that the man I loved and planned a future with was living an entire double life, and I had no idea. First update. Saturday night after Tamara drove me home, I basically just sat on my couch in that stupid expensive dress staring at the wall. My phone started blowing up around 9 p.m. Marcus was calling over and over, his texts going from, "We need to talk," to "Please let me explain," to "I love you, please just listen." His mother Rosalie was calling too, leaving these heartbroken voicemails about how she had no idea and how sorry she was and how she raised him better than this. Even his sister sent me this long message about how she always thought I was too good for him and she was sorry I got dragged into his mess. I didn't answer any of them Saturday night. I got in the shower still wearing the dress because I couldn't deal with taking it off, just stood there until the water ran cold, then crawled into bed. Tamara stayed over and kept bringing me water and telling me I needed to eat something, but I felt physically ill every time I thought about food. Sunday morning, I woke up to 73 notifications. Marcus had apparently been texting me all night, these long rambling messages that started as apologies and devolved into excuses. Reading through them while drinking coffee made me want to throw up. He was saying things like the situation with Heidi is complicated, and we weren't technically together when it started, and I never meant for anyone to get hurt. Around 11 a.m., I'm sitting there trying to figure out what to do about my stuff that's at his place. I had clothes there, my good hair straightener, some jewelry, books I'd been meaning to grab, when someone starts pounding on my apartment door. I look through the peephole and it's Marcus standing there looking absolutely destroyed, wearing the same clothes from the party. I open the door, but kept the chain on, and he immediately starts begging me to let him in so we can talk. I'm standing there in my pajamas with yesterday's mascara probably all over my face, telling him there's nothing to talk about, and he goes, "Please, I need to explain everything." And here's where I made what was probably a mistake. But I was so angry I needed to hear what possible explanation he thought would make this okay. I let him in. Marcus comes in and immediately tries to hug me, and I physically pushed him away. "Don't touch me. Sit down and explain how you've been living with another woman while dating me for 2 years." He sits on my couch and puts his head in his hands doing this whole tortured routine and starts talking. According to Marcus, he met Heidi about a year ago through work stuff and they started casually seeing each other, but it wasn't serious. He swears he told her from the beginning he wasn't looking for anything committed. Then she got pregnant 3 months ago and everything got complicated. He was going to tell me, but he didn't know how and he didn't want to hurt me, and the timing was never right. I'm standing there listening to this garbage and I interrupt him. "So you've been lying to me for a year and living with her?" He starts backtracking super hard, saying he's not really living with her. He stays there sometimes, but it's not like that. His apartment is more like a home base, but Heidi needed help with rent, so he's been staying there more. The mental gymnastics this man is doing would win Olympic gold. I asked him directly why she has photos of them in his apartment going back months, and he goes, "She probably took those when she visited. But that place is definitely his, not theirs." Then I asked about the pregnancy, and he gets this panicked look and starts saying he's not even sure it's his. Heidi could be lying about the timeline. He asked her to take a paternity test, but she refused. And I'm listening to him throw this pregnant girl under the bus while sitting in my apartment lying to my face, and something just clicked. I asked him what he told Heidi about me. He gets quiet, then starts saying Heidi knew he had an ex he was dealing with breaking up with, but nothing serious. An ex. I asked when exactly we broke up because I must have missed that conversation, and he goes, "You know what I mean? We've been having problems." "What problems?" "Marcus?" I'm going through my mental catalog of our relationship trying to figure out what problems he's talking about and coming up blank. We weren't fighting. We were literally planning to move in together next year. I was meeting his family regularly. We talked about marriage. He starts listing these completely made-up issues about how I'm always working late and we never see each other, and he felt neglected. I work a normal 9-to-5 schedule. He's the one who was always busy or traveling or couldn't hang out on weekends. I pointed this out and he switches tactics, saying we just grew apart and he wasn't happy, but he didn't know how to end things. "So instead of breaking up with me like an adult, you started a whole entire relationship with someone else and got her pregnant?" Marcus starts crying at this point, saying he messed up so bad and he loves me and he can fix this and we can work through it. How exactly are we going to work through you having a baby with another woman? He goes, the baby might not even be mine, and even if it is, we can figure it out. Maybe he won't be super involved. Maybe Heidi will be reasonable about co-parenting. The way he's talking about this unborn child like it's a problem to be managed rather than a human being he created is making me physically ill. I asked him point blank if he's in love with Heidi, and he swears he's not. She's just someone he got involved with during a confusing time. I'm the one he wants to be with. So I asked him to show me his phone, just unlock it and hand it over so I can see these text conversations with Heidi, where he told her he wasn't serious. He refuses. Starts going on about privacy and trust, and how if I loved him, I wouldn't need to see his phone to believe him. I told him I'm way past trusting anything that comes out of his mouth, and if he wants any chance at explaining himself, he needs to show me the messages. He's still refusing, getting defensive, saying I'm being unreasonable and controlling. This man who has been lying to me for possibly our entire relationship is calling me unreasonable. I told him to get out. He starts pleading again, saying we need more time to talk through this. One conversation isn't enough to throw away 2 years. I reminded him he threw away 2 years when he decided to build a life with someone else. He's saying it's not a life, it's just a situation he got stuck in. He never wanted this. Heidi trapped him with the pregnancy. And I'm done. I physically walked to my door and opened it and told him to leave. He's standing there looking devastated, asking if this is really it, and am I really going to throw our whole relationship away over one mistake? One mistake. Getting another woman pregnant after maintaining a year-long relationship with her while lying to both of us is not one mistake. It's like 1,000 consecutive choices to be a terrible human being. I told him we're done, don't contact me again, and closed the door in his face. Spent the next hour crying on my floor while Tamara brought over bagels and mimosas and let me rant. Then I did something possibly stupid. I started going through my memories of the past year trying to figure out what was real. Our anniversary trip to the beach last December, where he was on his phone constantly and said it was work emails? Probably Heidi. Valentine's Day when he had to cancel dinner last minute because of a work emergency? Probably Heidi. The weekend in July when he said he had to visit his sick uncle? Probably Heidi. My phone buzzes and it's Rosalie calling again. I actually answered this time because I figured I deserved some answers from his family. She's crying immediately, apologizing over and over, saying she had no idea Marcus was seeing anyone else. She thought I was his only girlfriend. She's so ashamed of him. I asked her if she knew about the apartment situation and she goes, "What do you mean? He lives alone across town in that studio." A studio? Heidi's photos showed a 2-bedroom place. Rosalie starts asking me questions about what I know, and I'm telling her about the double life thing, and she's getting more and more upset. Apparently, Marcus told his family he was living alone and struggling with money, which is why they'd been helping him with rent sometimes. She's realizing he was probably using their money to maintain this second household. Then she drops this bomb. Marcus's grandmother had given him $15,000 last year as an early inheritance to help him get stable, and apparently he told the family he used it for his apartment deposit and furnishing the place. I'm doing math in my head, realizing Marcus has been financially manipulating his entire family while living this double life. Rosalie is devastated, saying she needs to talk to her mother about this. And she keeps apologizing to me like it's her fault her adult son is a lying piece of garbage. I told her I appreciated her calling, but I needed space from anything Marcus related right now. Tuesday, Marcus shows up at my workplace. Just appears in the lobby around lunchtime asking the receptionist to call me down. My coworker Lynette comes to my desk going, "There's some guy downstairs asking for you, and he looks rough." I went down there ready to cause a scene if necessary, and Marcus is standing there with flowers. Flowers. Like that's going to fix anything. He starts his whole speech right there in my office lobby about how he's been thinking and he wants to work on us. He ended things with Heidi. He's ready to commit fully to me now. I'm staring at this man holding grocery store roses telling me he ended things with a pregnant woman, as if that makes him noble. I asked him very calmly what ending things means when she's carrying his child, and he goes, they agreed to co-parent, but nothing romantic. It's over between them. Did you take a paternity test? No, but he's pretty sure it's his based on timing. So you have a pregnant ex-girlfriend who lives in your actual apartment while you're standing here with cheap flowers trying to win back the woman you've been lying to? He starts getting frustrated, saying I'm not understanding. He's choosing me. He wants use. Can't I see he's trying to make this right? I told him making it right would have been not cheating in the first place and walked away. He followed me to the elevator saying we need to talk more. One real conversation where we're both calm. Maybe we can meet for dinner. I turned around and very clearly said if he showed up at my work again, I'd call security. And if he came to my apartment, I'd call the police. His face did this thing like he couldn't believe I was serious. That night, his sister sent me a message asking if I'd heard from Marcus because apparently he's telling the family that I'm overreacting and we had a mutual breakup, and now I'm harassing him for closure. She said she knows that's garbage, but their mother is confused because Marcus keeps changing his story. Apparently, he's now saying Heidi is some obsessed girl who trapped him, and I'm his real relationship that he's fighting for. I'm lying in bed Wednesday night trying to figure out my next move when I realize I never got my stuff from his place, and I don't even know which place is actually his place. Thursday evening, I'm at Target buying new hair products to replace what's at his place because I've decided I'm not going there when I run into Fraser, one of Marcus's college friends who was at the party. He recognizes me immediately and comes over looking super uncomfortable. We end up talking in the home goods aisle, and he tells me the group chat has been insane since Saturday. Marcus has been blowing it up with his side of the story. According to Fraser, Marcus is telling people that Heidi is unstable and fabricated the pregnancy to trap him, and I'm his serious girlfriend who he loves, but we're going through a rough patch. Fraser said he personally saw the ultrasound photos, and they looked pretty legitimate to him. Then he mentioned something that makes my blood run cold. Apparently Marcus has been bringing Heidi around their friend group for months, introducing her as his girlfriend, and none of them knew I existed until the party. So Marcus maintained completely separate social circles too. We exchanged numbers, and he said if I needed anything or wanted to know what Marcus was saying in the group chat to let him know. Friday afternoon, I'm finally feeling stable enough to go back to work when Rosalie calls me again. She's been trying to get answers from Marcus about the money situation, and he's being super defensive and evasive. She went to his studio apartment, which apparently he's barely ever at based on the dust everywhere. And it's basically empty. No furniture beyond a mattress on the floor and a TV. She doesn't know where he's actually living, but it's clearly not there. This woman is having a breakdown, realizing her son scammed the family out of money and has been lying about every aspect of his life. She asked me if I knew where he really lived, and I had to tell her I don't. He never let me visit his place more than a handful of times. She starts crying, saying, how did we miss this? How did he fool everyone so completely? I told her honestly, I don't know, but I'm done trying to figure it out. Now it's Friday night, and Marcus has started texting me again. These super manipulative messages about how I'm the love of his life and he can't lose me and he's willing to do whatever it takes. But he still won't send me screenshots of his conversations with Heidi, still won't tell me where he actually lives, still hasn't taken a paternity test. He wants me back, but on his terms, where I just believe whatever he says. Last update. Alright, so shout out to everyone who told me to stand my ground, because I'm about to tell you about the most insane week of my life. And honestly, if I hadn't had you all in my corner, I might have actually lost it. Saturday morning, I woke up to a text from Rosalie asking if we could meet in person to talk. She said she needed to understand what happened and get the full story from me because Marcus kept changing his version every time she asked him anything. I was hesitant because the last thing I wanted was to spend my weekend rehashing this nightmare, but she sounded genuinely devastated, and I figured she deserved to know the truth. We agreed to meet Sunday afternoon at this diner near her place in Durham. Sunday, I'm getting ready to meet Rosalie, and Marcus starts blowing up my phone. He's sending these long texts about how his mother has been manipulated by the situation, and I need to be careful what I tell her because she doesn't understand our relationship. I'm reading these messages thinking this man is really trying to control the narrative with his own mother. He's saying things like, please don't make me look bad to my family, and we can still fix this if everyone just calms down. I didn't respond to any of it. I got to the diner around 2 p.m. and Rosalie was already there in a booth. She stood up and hugged me immediately and started apologizing before we even sat down. We ordered coffee, and she's asking me to start from the beginning, how we met, how our relationship developed, when I started noticing problems. So I walked her through everything. Meeting Marcus in 2023, how he seemed perfect at first, the weird apartment situation, all of it. Rosalie is taking notes on her phone, which felt intense, but also like she was trying to get everything straight. She asked about the apartment specifically, and I told her about the handful of times I'd been there, how it always felt staged, how Marcus always had excuses for why I couldn't visit. She's shaking her head going, I gave him money for that place, we all helped him furnish it, and now I'm finding out it was basically empty. Then she drops this bomb. She asked Heidi to meet us here. I froze. What? Rosalie goes, I know this is uncomfortable, but I need to hear both sides, and Marcus won't tell me anything straight, so I tracked down Heidi through Facebook and asked if she'd be willing to talk. Before I could process this, Heidi walks through the diner door with her mother Marjorie. This was the first time I'd seen Heidi since the party, and she looked just as shocked to see me as I was to see her. Rosalie stood up and waved them over, and I'm sitting there thinking, this is either going to be the most therapeutic thing ever, or I'm about to have a breakdown in a public restaurant. Heidi and Marjorie slid into the booth across from us, and there was this super awkward silence. Rosalie started talking, saying she needed both of us to tell her everything because her son was clearly lying to everyone, and she wanted the full truth. Heidi looked at me nervously, and I could tell she was scared I was going to attack her or something. I told her I wasn't angry at her. I was angry at Marcus, and she visibly relaxed. Marjorie was eyeing me like she wasn't sure if this was a trap. Heidi started talking, and the story that came out made me physically sick. She met Marcus in February of last year, so almost 2 years ago, not 1 year like he told me, at some networking event for his work. They exchanged numbers and started texting, then went on their first date in March. According to Heidi, Marcus told her he'd been single for years and was ready for something serious. By May, they were officially together, and he asked her to move in with him. I'm doing mental math and realizing this means Marcus asked Heidi to move into his apartment while we were dating and planning our anniversary trip. Rosalie looks like she might throw up. Heidi kept going, saying Marcus told her he worked from home a lot, which is why he was always around, and when he traveled for work, he'd be gone for days at a time. Those work trips were probably when he was with me. Heidi pulled out her phone and started showing us photos chronologically. March, their first date. April, them at a baseball game. May, moving day photos with boxes in the apartment. June, photos of them at his family cookout, which, wait, I asked Rosalie about that cookout, and she confirmed Marcus brought a girlfriend to their summer gathering last year. But I never went to that cookout. Marcus told me he was going alone because it was just immediate family. Rosalie is horrified realizing Marcus brought Heidi to family events and introduced her as his friend while he was still with me. Heidi is scrolling through more photos showing their life together, grocery shopping, cooking dinner, watching movies on the couch, all this domestic couple stuff. Every photo is dated, and I'm cross-referencing with my memories of what Marcus told me he was doing those days. That weekend in August when he said he had a work conference, photo of him and Heidi at a concert. October when he said he was helping his sister move, photo of them at a pumpkin patch. Marjorie is watching me process all this, and she reaches across the table and squeezes my hand. She said she had no idea I existed until the party, and if she'd known Marcus was doing this to two women, she would have dragged Heidi away from him months ago. Heidi got to December and showed photos from Christmas, them decorating a tree together, opening presents, his family gathering where apparently I also wasn't invited because Marcus told me he was going alone again. So Marcus spent Christmas with Heidi, then came to my place on December 26th and gave me presents and acted like he'd been with family the whole time. Then Heidi talked about finding out she was pregnant. She was terrified but also excited because they'd been together over a year and living together, and she thought they were building a life. Marcus was weird about it at first, but then seemed to come around, went to a few doctor appointments. They talked about baby names. Around September, he started being distant, gone more often, always on his phone. She thought he was stressed about becoming a father. By October, Marcus was barely home. Heidi was getting suspicious, checking his phone, which she felt guilty about, but something felt wrong. She found texts between Marcus and someone named Alex that were clearly romantic. At first, she thought Alex was a guy and Marcus was cheating with a man, which was its own crisis. But then she saw a text that made it clear Alex was a woman. That's when she started digging. Heidi went through Marcus's laptop while he was supposedly at work and found his other account. She found the party invitation. That's how she knew where to show up on Saturday. She spent days debating what to do, whether to tell me or confront him first, and finally decided she needed to expose everything publicly so he couldn't talk his way out of it with either of us. I'm sitting there listening to this and feeling so many emotions I can't even name them all. Marjorie starts asking questions about money, and that's when things got even more complicated. Apparently, Marcus told Heidi he was paying full rent on their apartment, but he needed her to contribute to utilities and groceries. Heidi had been giving him several $100s a month since she moved in, but Rosalie said she and Marcus's grandmother had been helping with his rent on what they thought was his studio apartment. So where was all that money going? Rosalie asked both of us what we wanted to do moving forward. Heidi said she needed Marcus to acknowledge the baby and be involved financially at minimum, and she wanted a paternity test not because she doubted it was his, but because she wanted legal documentation. I said I wanted nothing to do with Marcus ever again, and I needed to get my belongings back from wherever he actually lived. Rosalie said she'd help with both of those things. We were wrapping up this extremely heavy conversation when Marcus walked into the diner. Just strode in like he had some sixth sense we were all there talking about him. His face when he saw all four of us sitting together was priceless. Pure panic. He tried to immediately turn around and leave, but Rosalie stood up and yelled his name. The entire diner turned to look. Marcus came over to the booth and started asking what was going on. Why was everyone here? What were we talking about? Rosalie told him to sit down and explain himself, and he's standing there going, "This is insane. You're all ganging up on me." I asked him how he found us, and he admitted he'd been tracking Rosalie's location on her phone, which was creepy as hell, but also explained how he always knew when to show up places. Marjorie went off on him right there in the diner, calling him a liar and a manipulator and demanding he acknowledge his child. Marcus tried to say, "We're in public, can we discuss this privately?" And she shut him down, saying he lost the right to privacy when he decided to deceive everyone. Heidi was crying, asking him why he did this, why he couldn't just pick one of us, why he had to lie about everything. Marcus's response was to play victim, saying he never meant for any of this to happen. He loved both of us in different ways. The situation just spiraled out of his control. Rosalie asked him about the money, and he started stuttering about expenses and work being unpredictable. She asked him directly where he's been living, and he's looking around like he's trying to find an exit. I was done. I stood up and told Marcus I wanted my stuff back immediately, and I never wanted to see him again. He started begging me not to do this, saying we could work it out. He chose me. And Heidi is right there hearing him say he chooses me while she's carrying his child. I told him he doesn't get to choose anyone anymore because we both choose to be done with him. Marcus started yelling about how this was all a misunderstanding and we were being dramatic and ruining his life over nothing. Rosalie told him he ruined his own life and he needed to leave. Marcus tried to appeal to his mother, saying she's supposed to be on his side. And she said being on his side doesn't mean supporting him lying to everyone who loves him. He looked at me one more time with these pathetic puppy dog eyes, and I just stared back stone-faced until he left. Rosalie said she was going to Marcus's studio apartment that night with a key she still had, and collecting any of my belongings she found. And if Heidi wanted her to grab anything, she'd do that too. Heidi gave her a list. We exchanged numbers. Me and Heidi. Monday morning, Rosalie texted me saying she went to the studio and found some of my clothes and my hair straightener. She'd meet me later that week to return them. She also found boxes of stuff that appeared to be mine and Heidi's mixed together, like Marcus had been slowly moving things out of the actual apartment he shared with Heidi. It was creepy. Marcus texted me Monday night saying his mother betrayed him, and now his whole family won't talk to him. Playing the victim again, I blocked his number. Thursday. Rosalie met me at a Panera and returned all my stuff. She'd also written Marcus telling him she's ashamed of him, and until he takes full responsibility for his actions and starts being honest, she doesn't want contact with him. His whole family is icing him out. She hugged me goodbye and made me promise if I ever needed anything to call her. Heidi texted me Friday saying Marcus finally agreed to a paternity test, probably because his family demanded it. Marjorie is helping her move out next week. Part of me feels bad for Heidi going through this while pregnant. It's been 3 weeks since that birthday party, and my life is completely different. But honestly, I'm relieved. Better to find out now than 5 years from now when we're married with kids. That party disaster was actually the worst thing that could have happened, because it exposed everything in front of everyone, so Marcus couldn't manipulate his way out of it. I know some people wanted me to key his car or blast him on social media or whatever, but honestly, his family disowning him and having to face one pregnant woman and one ex-girlfriend who knows exactly what he is, that feels like enough consequences. He has to live with what he did, and everyone knowing what he did. I organized a surprise party for my boyfriend and got the surprise of my life instead. But you know what? I'd rather know the truth than keep living in his lies.